Weekend Spotlight. I am joined today by Derek Satnick, VP Technology, Smart Communities, and we are here at Eve Park. This place is amazing. I love it.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you. I understand that they're calling this the first community of its kind, lauded as one of 10 architectural projects set to shape the world in 2024. Congratulations. What was the inspiration for this?
We're a bunch of environmental geeks at our company. We do a lot of research and we're always learning. We work with a lot of universities and we've been challenged by all the discussion around carbon to try to figure out ways to make environmental things sort of livable and practical and real. Most people in the Western world don't realize we're all sort of similar in this sense, that about a third of your impact comes from the buildings you're in, about a third of it comes from the way you move around between those buildings, about a third of it comes from the food you eat. We're not food experts. We do really good buildings, and we started thinking about how you move between buildings. So there's a lot of talk about transportation, about electric vehicles, integration of that, parks, and how you tie to parks. Really, the main inspiration was just trying to live differently, trying to take some of these ideas and make them so subtly just part of how you live that you don't have to think about it. You just do it right by accident.
And aside from that, what would you say is like the most amazing thing of this community?
I think it's the subtle stuff. It's that you don't have to think about it. It's funny, we walk into the homes and then you close the door and you realize how quiet it is. Right. And that the air is cleaner because the filters and stuff figure that out. You don't have to think about it. It's safer because we don't have fire. We have things that look like fire and work like fire, but they're very safe.
I love that fire.
This is water mist, and it's a vaporizer. It actually makes the place healthier in the winter instead of just adding heat that we don't need because it's such an efficient building. Right. The stove is completely touch safe. We're using induction stoves. There's all these little things we've just tried to build in. You don't need carbon monoxide detectors. And you have to teach your kids, don't touch the stove or the fire because your stove and fire are safe. Other people's may not be. So we've tried to make it really easy, and I love how sort of easy it is.
And another different thing I noticed as soon as I drove up, it's circular in design. Is there a master plan to that?
There is, partly because most cities are getting more dense, so that you're kind of working with the land you have. And it's inspired by European concepts. There's lots of courtyards in Europe that it's kind of normal and expected over there. Immigrants are much more comfortable with this than those of us who grew up here are. But it's very hard to buy a plot of land and put a white picket fence around it now. Houses get more dense. But as they get dense, you can keep them smart. So what we've done, we've wrapped everything around a courtyard. We've moved all the parking into parking towers on the side of the property so we can free up that land and give it back to the people who live here. Otherwise, most of the lot would be driveways and laneways and garages. So we stacked the garages instead. We've got parking carousels. And that means you can have gardens and we can put edible plants and we can let the kids go pick berries and we can have a courtyard to go have a barbecue in with the neighbors. It's very deliberate to try to wrap the neighbors around something they can share.
Great opportunity for them to connect, right?
Yeah.
We should explain to people, where is Eve Park?
Eve Park is in the corner of West 5. We are on the northwest end of town, just in the Riverbend area, not far from the golf course, just off the Thames River, on the way out to Komoka. It's a very growing part of the city, actually, and there's a lot of really beautiful buildings out here. We're a very short walk from a 50-acre park. So, yeah, lovely part of town.
Great spot with all the great walking paths. And how many homes do you have here in Eve Park?
Right now we have 2 buildings of 21 homes each. There will be 2 more coming, so when it's done it'll be 84 homes. Right. All of West 5 is a whole neighborhood, of course, but Eve Park will be 84. And
it's all about net zero living. Can you explain to us a little bit more about that?
The net idea is that it doesn't all happen at once. This happens over a year. But in the summer, we get lots of sun. And if you're smart about how you use that, you can store that energy. London Hydro has lots of great technology, and we don't really have to worry about the engineering bits. As I'm an engineer, we let the engineers worry about that. But we collect the sun during the summer when it's available. It goes into the grid, and then we use it again later when we need it. So net means over the course of the year, these buildings make and provide their own energy, just not all at once.
And you mentioned before about the kitchen and the stove, but I would imagine that a lot of the appliances and the building products here also have been chosen working towards that net zero?
We have a whole research team that looks into this stuff all the time because the markets obviously keep changing and suppliers keep coming up with new ideas. So we're using different insulation than we would have used 10 years ago. Thicker walls with smarter stuff inside that. We do have an advanced appliance package from Panasonic, some of the best stuff on the market, which we can get in bulk as a builder, so we get good rates on that. We've got some of the best laundry, Miele laundry, German technology. So we've had to compare lots of products. We're looking for things that are going to last, that we don't have to worry about but that are also going to use as little energy as possible and do it well. We want it to cook well and clean well and all these kinds of things.
I think we have more to talk about, but we do need to take a quick break. So if you don't mind staying put, we'll chat a little bit longer. Stay with us. We will come back in a moment with Weekend Spotlight. Welcome back to Weekend Spotlight. We continue to chat with Derek Satnick, VP Technology Smart Companies. The parent company for Eve Park, which is where we are in this gorgeous spot, is S2E Technologies. They've been involved in solar technology for years. Can you tell us a bit about the whole microgrid for residents?
A lot of people don't need to understand how our electrical grid works. We let the utilities figure that out, right? So the idea of a microgrid is it's taking something that like London Hydro would normally do and worry about at a city level, and we're doing it at a micro level just inside this neighborhood. In Eve Park, we're tied into the West 5 microgrid. Some folks would be very comfortable. Your kids might even climb on the big green transformers on the sidewalk beside your house. We have big white boxes that look the same. They're full of batteries and electronics, and the goal is when we have extra energy we don't need, we can store it there, and the microgrid controls how you use that. London Hydro's got a really good record that not usually brownouts are very short, so we've got a couple extra hours of backup power there, and if there ever was a big ice storm or something, then we can use those hours to get generators online and do other sort of emergency repairs, and so it buys us extra time and it gives us extra backup power.
Good to know. And you have a lot of interesting different things going on here. One of them was the parking plan. You had told me about it a little earlier. Can you share that with our viewers?
21 homes. Instead of having 21 driveways and garages everywhere, that chew up a lot of land. If you just imagine how much space is under all of those, you have to pay for that space, and there's complications and impacts from that space. We stacked up most of them. So instead of that, if we have 4 driveways side by side, I can put towers on those 4. Each tower takes up 2 driveways. And then I can put 12 to 16 cars on 2 driveways. And they're in a little Ferris wheel. It's a compressed tower. It stores them vertically in the air. It's not a proud point, but Ontario, Canada is #1 in the world for car theft right now. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's kind of a nice quiet brag point that our cars are very safe. They're up in the air and they're behind a door. Only the people who live here have access. Takes a couple of minutes to get your car down. It's the same as if you were driving out of a garage. So yeah, we've done that to get our land and our lives back a little bit, and it gives us some extra spaces that we can share. So we have a car share. So when you move here, the average family in London is 2.1 something cars for 2 point something people. You get one of your own car when you live here, but then you get the fleet. And stats are pretty good. If I have 5 cars that we can share, that covers a lot of families. And if you need to go to the grocery store and I'm waiting my turn, I can wait a half hour, that's fine. And I'll go after that. So we get really good use out of these shared cars. They're all electric cars, they're all new. They charge in the garages, somebody else maintains them and takes care of them. They're always ready when you need them. You just pay a membership. Costs about the same as insurance would cost you anyway. So it's very affordable, and it's fun, and it's different. And it means for us that we get much better use of these cars. So we've got other companies that specialize in that. We don't have to worry about that. The whole idea is to make environmental living fun and easy and available. And then you don't have to worry about it. You just get a better way to live.
I think you've nailed that. And then do people get any government grants or assistance if they buy, or as builders? Did you get any government assistance?
Not really. It's more and more expected. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's a challenging thing. The building codes keep getting better. Mm-hmm. So we as a company are on the councils and committees trying to push to make these things better. It's hard to do that right, and it takes a lot of work. So we spend time doing that. And when we bring it home, we spend more time working on how to make this easy for people. So for example, we don't have special government grants for you, but we do have a great deal with the bank, and we can get you a mortgage that will be at a 1.99% for a couple of years to get you settled and started. You can get into one of these fancy, exciting new homes for a couple $1,000 a month. Right. So we worked hard on that. Same financial innovation we have for technical innovation, right? But it's a little bit different. So we try to connect you with a bank that's willing to think a little different. And their mainline banks, this is Libro Credit Union. We've got a green mortgage program with RBC, and the banks all know that they have to do this too. So the whole industry has different roles to play. We're trying to do our part.
And what are your plans for expansion, or do you have plans to expand this concept?
Our company specializes in the buildings. I'm going to try to be humble and say we don't really know much about land, so we partner with people who know land. So we have 2 more buildings coming. We love the Sifton company. They're very smart people, and we're looking at opportunities with them. We're always looking for more partners. We have other projects, unfortunately not close to here. We've had some in the US and Mexico. We've got some coming up in Nova Scotia. Definitely looking for more opportunities here, though.
I love the innovation you've incorporated, and it's such a great spot, like we said earlier, with the walking trails right near the river. So congratulations to you and your team. It was fun for me to take a little walk through, and thanks for allowing us to come and have this little fireside chat.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming.
So again, thanks so much, and all the best to Eve Park.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.